So it's not Tuesday, but I do have a tutorial for you. So if you look at the pictures in my office, pictures like this, or this, or that, or this. One of the things you'll notice is that I like images that are really hyper contrasty and super crisp. And I like that because one of my favorite photographers is Andrzej Dragan. Andrzej Dragan is famous for pictures like this. Now, according to internet lore, what he was trying to do here is emulate the scales of a dragon. But the short version is, Dragan liked the same kinds of things I like. Unfortunately, unless you have some really expensive high-end gear, this is not something we're really capable of duplicating in camera. But it is really easy to do in Photoshop, so let me show you how to do that. Alright, here we are in Photoshop, and I have this lovely image of myself hanging off of a clothesline and smoking a pipe. Image is unremarkable, but let's make it a little more interesting by giving it this dragonized effect. First thing you want to do is duplicate your base layer by hitting Command or Control J. And then we're going to duplicate it again. And then we're going to desaturate this by hitting Command Shift U or Control Shift U, depending on whether you're Windows or Mac. Then we're going to duplicate this layer. We're going to invert it by hitting Command or Control I. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take our blend mode here and we're going to change that to vivid light. And all of a sudden it's just this super gray, nothing is going on, right? But if we come up here to Filter and we go to Blur and we get Surface Blur, you can see I've got my radius set to 30 and my threshold set to 38. By all means, play with these numbers. The more you do with this, the grittier, the more visceral an image is going to become. I'm going to hit OK. Now I'm going to take these two layers and I'm going to merge them into one layer and change my blend mode from normal to overlay. And this is it with the Dragan effect, and this is without. Now if I wanted to go ahead and make this black and white, the easy way to do that would be to go ahead and duplicate everything by just Command Option E, which duplicates everything into one image, and I'm maintaining my integrity of these layers below. Go ahead and turn those off for a moment. Again, here's Dragan, here's the original. And now let's go ahead and make this black and white. And we can play with our different colors here and really make this pop. So I'm going to take my blues. There are no blues in this. Take our reds down a little bit. Take our yellows down a little bit. Greens. And there we have a pretty good looking image. I'm going to go ahead and do one more thing here. So I'm going to duplicate everything together again. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new layer directly above this image. I'm going to take my paintbrush, make sure white is selected. I'm going to zoom in on my eyes here, and I am just going to do a little bit of white in my eyes. This is kind of an optional thing you can do, but this is an easy way to make eyes pop. Change that blend mode to overlay and take the opacity down to about 30. And if we zoom back out, this is the image we have. Pretty cool, right? Now, as a video guy, I got to wondering, could I do this with a video project? And the answer is yes, but not in Premiere Pro. So let me show you how to do it in After Effects. So I'm in After Effects here, and I have this lovely clip of an elderly man who is thinking about life. I got this from Storyblocks, just to sort of enhance what I'm talking about here, right? There's nothing wrong with this as is, but let's go ahead and Draganize it. So the first thing I'm going to do is, just like in Photoshop, we're going to duplicate this layer, and then we're going to desaturate it by coming over here to Effects. We're going to look up Saturation, Hue Saturation. Go ahead and drop that on. Take our Master Saturation all the way down, and then we're going to duplicate this layer. Whoops, I duplicated the effect. Make sure when you're doing duplications that you have what you want selected. So I've selected my clip now, duplicate the layer. Then I'm going to come over here, I'm going to look for invert. I'm going to drop that on. And just like in Photoshop, we're going to change our blend mode to vivid light. And you'll see it does the exact same thing it did in Photoshop, right? Now we need to get a different effect. The surface blur does not exist in After Effects, but the bilateral blur does, and it does pretty much the same thing. So we drop that on there, and in this case I'm going to set my radius to 60 and my threshold to 30. By all means, play with these numbers. Now what we're going to do is we're going to merge these layers just like we did in Photoshop, but it's not called merge in After Effects, it's called precomposing. So I'm going to select this layer, and I'm going to right-click on them, and then come to Precompose. We'll call this Contrast. And then I'm going to change my blend mode, just like in Photoshop, to Overlay. And here we have with the overlay and without. And that is just so cool, so crisp, so contrast. I love everything about it. And there you have the Dragan effect two ways, one for photo, one for video. Actually, the After Effects version could work for photo, and I know you can edit video in Photoshop. Whatever, I would stick with using the Photoshop for photos and the After Effects for video for right now. Yeah. Alright. Keep shooting, friends. So I actually took the longest route possible to my office because the direct route has this going on.